Hello, Marcy Geller here. It's our weekly Square Peg chat, and it's the Monday before Halloween. So I don't know if you're all planning on getting dressed up, if that's your thing, and if you do, I hope you have a wonderful time. I'm going to open up the chat section so I can see what's going on here. If this is your first time, there is a chat bar to my right on your screen. You can either log into Ustream and chat, or you can just go ahead and chat anonymously, but announce yourself if you are comfortable with that, just so I know who you are. I would love it if you said hello. I don't know if you're seeing me yet. If somebody can give me a signal that you're seeing me so that we can dig into our topic for this evening. Let's see, no messages yet, but I know there's a little delay, so I'm going to be patient because I know there are people watching. I can see it on my analytics here. So if you are seeing me, send me a little message in the chat bar so that I know that all is functioning and that you're not seeing a Ustream commercial. Okay, Well, I'm not seeing any messages. Let's check on the social stream and make sure there's nobody using that. Let's see. Nope. I only see me. So, are we seeing me? I have to assume that perhaps we are or we aren't. I'm okay. Hello, I got a hello. Hello, Anonymous 87111. I guess you want to stay anonymous, unless you didn't realize you're anonymous, in which case you can say your name in the chat. So hello, you see me, so I'm assuming that we're good to go. So I'm going to dig right into this week's topic. And it did come to me because of the impending Halloween that's coming up this week. The topic we're going to talk about tonight is clearing out the vampires. And I don't mean the Halloween kind. So I'm wondering if you have an idea of what I'm talking about. I'm going to give you my description of what I consider a vampire. A vampire is anyone in your life that literally sucks the living daylight out of you. That's what a vampire is. They could be somebody that you work with, somebody that you're partners with, somebody that hopefully not that you're, in a relationship with, but anything is possible, and no judgments cast here. But I define vampires as the people who take so much energy away from us that we don't feel our best around them. How about going with that? So let's see, we have a comment here. Eating a veggie sandwich with almonds. Is that a vampire, or are you being a vampire by sidetracking the conversation? Anonymous 87111. I have encountered many vampires. Some of them intentional. Most of them, I would say, are non-intentional vampires. I don't think that most people intend to exhaust our resources, whether they're exhausting our soul, our spirit, our focus even. So thank you. I hear somebody just said the lighting is much better. Yes, I played with the lighting a little bit, and I also wore a nice red shirt because I got a comment last time that I looked like it was in a lineup because I'm always wearing black. I don't know what that means because I always think of orange because of orange is the new black, but we're gonna be okay with what we're wearing today. We're all gonna be okay with what we're wearing because we don't want to be vampires to each other. So anyway, the vampire thing. I've had work relationships with vampires, I've had friendships with vampires, and as I said up at the top, I describe a vampire as somebody who literally drains you of your life force, somebody that you expend so much energy either being around or negotiating with them or trying to make peace with them that you're left with very little for yourself. And you know that the reason I do these weekly chats is to sort of share my own journey with you, and also so that we can exchange about each other's journeys. I'm not sitting here trying to be anybody's guru. I'm not trying to cure anybody of anything. I am trying to, on a daily basis, be the best me that I can possibly be. And if through that process I discover things that I feel make my days better or a little bit easier, then I'm willing to share it. And I'm hoping that, as our weekly chats have been going, that you guys are willing to do that also. So, there's a little fuzzy floating across. I'm very hyper aware because I'm going to confess to you guys, we've had a bee problem in our house. And if you don't know me well, I will confess that I have a very irrational fear of bees. I have irrational fears of few things, but bees and fire. But bees, really big irrational fear. Like, I know they're like this big, and I know if you get stung, it's going to hurt this much, but I'm terrified of them. I'm especially terrified of bees that I can't see. So last night, sitting on the couch, I felt plop, and I looked, and there he was, and he like crawled on the cushion, and then, of course, my husband, John, and I spent the rest of the night looking for the bee because I could not go to sleep knowing that there was a bee flying around the house. And lo and behold, today when I came home, 2 bees in the house. So I'm freaking out a little bit about the bees. Don't want to get too sidetracked about it, but if you see me swiping, it's because I saw something float by and I'm having a little bee paranoia. Anyway, back on to topic. So the vampires. Yes, it's Halloween, and yes, that's how I came up with this blog idea. But it's a serious idea for me because I've worked really hard, particularly in the last few years, to not engage with vampires, at least as much as possible. Look, there are certainly times when it's unavoidable, when there's somebody that you just have to interact with. Maybe they're a family member, or maybe you're involved in a business together, or maybe they're a neighbor. That's an interesting vampire. And so there's this forced need to interact. So how can we find ways to protect ourselves from those vampires in our daily practice, in ways that are still kind? Because that is probably one of the most important things for me as a person. I've said it before, I will say it again, I believe that each one of us walks as an example of the world that we want to live in. So I want the world to be kind. I want everybody to be kind to one another. I want people to be kind to me. So even in a situation where I don't want to engage with somebody, but maybe I have to, well, I'm going to try and approach it from a place of kindness. And some of the things that I've discovered, well, let me give you a little backstory. Another reason that I came to this topic is because a former vampire sort of reared their head into my life in a very indirect way this week, and it was a little jarring because I wasn't expecting. I thought I was kind of done with that chapter, and the vampires showed themselves, and it was a little unsettling for me, and it made me question, like, well, maybe I really haven't worked through this properly yet. And I'm a work in constant motion. I'm constantly working on myself. And so I thought a lot about what is it about this person that made me perceive them as a vampire. And in this particular instance, this person took me on a wild ride. They made a lot of promises to me that were basically based on lies, and they sort of took me down the rabbit hole. And, I thought that the rabbit hole was a path, like I thought it was like the yellow brick road leading me to Oz, and there was going to be greatness at the other end, and it turned out that they were just delusional or crazy, or I don't know, I'm not really sure. I don't need to define them or heal them, but I realized that whatever it is that they base their life on is not how I want to base my life, and I certainly would never ever want to mislead somebody, especially someone who I framed as a friend, like this person I thought was a friend, and they sort of led me on this wild, hopeful goose chase, like dangling all these like little prizes in front of me, and it took a lot out of me. So when they sort of poked back into my life this week, I found myself trying to not lose my ground. And I think that that's an important thing that each one of us has to train ourselves. You know, I always talk about, you know, you see those movies like 007 or, you know, any of these movies where like the person is not like a superhero, but they're like sort of superhuman in that, like, you know, they could be having a conversation and a bullet flies by and they can catch it in their hand. Like, I don't have those natural instincts. My instincts are like, I'm doing good, it's something thwarts me and it's like, ah! So I'm trying to train my instincts to react differently. I think that Wayne Dyer said this best. He said that when you squeeze an orange, what do you get? You get orange juice. And so when you squeeze somebody, whatever comes out, that's what's at the core of who they are. And I've sort of decided that I don't want the core of who I am to be someone who gets rocked so easily, that so quickly loses faith in oneself, which I have tended to do. So that's how the whole vampire thing came up. It's, you know, whether they are draining you of your focus because they're promising you things that don't exist, or whether they are draining you of your energy because they require a lot of upkeep in the friendship or whatever the relationship is, or if there's somebody who just, I don't know, just doesn't know how to gracefully end a conversation. I've had that experience where, you know, it's like midnight and you've got a 2-hour drive ahead of you and you're like, okay, how do I get out of this conversation? It's like people, the vampires, they take and take and take and take as long as you will give to them. And I'm trying to still be kind without giving up the essence of myself, without giving everything that I have to this vampire. So that's where I'm sitting. That's the idea of this conversation. And okay, so aside from the lighting, do we have any feedback? Is there anything that you'd like to share, or questions that you have about vampires, or maybe defining them in your own life? I'm going to give you a little breath to type in your questions, because I know it takes time, and because we're on a delay, I know that it takes time for me to see your questions. So I'm going to be patient. I'm not going to be a vampire. I'm not going to suck the life out of you while you're trying to formulate your ideas. But let's see. What will I tell you while I'm waiting to see if you have questions? Oh, I know what I'm going to tell you. So you guys know, you've heard me talk about the new CD Square Peg, which is sort of the catalyst for these chat sessions. It's the Square Peg chat, and Square Peg is the name of the next CD that we're going to be releasing. And we have been doing what I call a soft release, which means I've sort of been like dripping it different places, you know, allowing certain people to have it before it's actually released. And this past week, what a wonderful, wonderful gift to get the very, very first full-length review of the CD. And I will humbly say it was really, really, really good. So I'm really, really happy about that, and I feel like it's a tremendous boost to my confidence and boost to my confidence in this project. So if you haven't checked out Square Peg, my website's, you're in it. Square Peg is one of the pages you can check out. So, okay, we've got some questions going on. How do we avoid vampires? Well, and then they said they can be sneaky, and you're right. You know, I don't know if there's a way to avoid them completely. You know, I think that you'd have to be psychic to completely avoid vampires. But I do think that for myself, I'll tell you my process. If I am working or friending or whatever, the person that all of a sudden I'm starting to feel, here's a good way of putting it, I'll have a conversation and it goes so long and I can't find a way out and I'm exhausted. I'm literally feeling myself like get physically and mentally tired. That's a vampire. So I think the first way to avoid vampires is to identify them, to quickly identify who the vampires are in your life, and then figuring out a way that you can expend as little energy as possible with them. You know, like I said, sometimes, and very often, vampires are people that we're sort of, you know, stuck with because they're family members or business partners or neighbors. Situations where we can't control our exposure to them. So I always say, if you've identified a vampire, then the next thing to do is to come up with some tools, you know, to have available for your use when the vampires attack. You know, if there's somebody who calls you and hangs you up on the phone for an hour out of your busy day, you know, I'll share a little secret with you. There's actually an app, and I know you can get it for the iPhone. I don't know if you can get it for other phones, but there's an app called the Do button. Do as in D-O, not as in do like poop. Not that I needed to. So I need that to explain that to you. Anyway, if you get the Do button, it has one of the recipes that you can use is for it to call your phone. So if the vampire calls you, you can actually push that recipe in the Do button and it'll call your phone and you have an excuse. Oh, I'm so sorry, I have a business call, I have to go. So that's one way to deal with vampires. Another way is just to have a kind way of just saying, I really hear what you're saying, but I have to get back to whatever it is that I'm doing. So let's take this up another time, and then I try to make sure I don't interact with that vampire as much as possible. We have another question. Everyone is looking for something to validate their existence. We all do it. The best thing to do to a vampire is to tell them that they are draining you. If they don't like it, gracefully move along. Well, look, that's a very, very direct way of dealing with a vampire, and I respect that. I really do. I just think that in the instances where I find myself engaged with a vampire, a lot of times, I guess like my sentiment kicks in because I feel bad for them and I don't want to hurt their feelings. So being that direct, I don't know that that's going to help me because I know that I'm still going to cross paths with this person and then I'm going to be afraid that like, oh, I hurt their feelings and now they're going to be weird around me and now they're going to tell other people that I was mean and, you know. And look, honesty, of course, is, I suppose, the best policy, although I've come to different conclusions. Sometimes I think that honesty is the best policy if it doesn't hurt anybody, if that makes any sense. I'm not advocating lying. I'm just saying that, you know, if somebody gets a really nasty haircut and they're crying and they're really self-conscious, like, is it really necessary for me to validate, yeah, you got a crappy haircut? No, I think it's okay for me to find what I like about the haircut so that maybe they feel a little bit better and maybe that shines outward and then they do indeed look better. Ha! That's a sneaky app, but a good one. I see other people have discovered it. So yeah, that's a really, what's the word? I can't think of it. I'm having that brain fart where it's like I can't, where it's a, oh, you know what I'm saying. It's not direct when you use the app. It's not a direct way of dealing with the situation. It's sort of passive-aggressive. That's what I was trying to think of. And I mean that in the kindest way because I use it myself. But there have been times when I just could not get somebody off the phone. So, you know, you do what you have to do. Anybody else? Because we're getting close to where I want to see if a commercial cuts in because I do want to sing a song that was evoked when I thought about tonight's topic. So I'm going to take a sip here because it's that time. Thankfully, I've not seen any flying critters. If you do see one, make sure you tell me because you know how I feel about those bees. I I think if I sing, it's going to be a commercial. I don't know what to do. I guess, okay, maybe these vampires are there for you to learn something. Everything is there for us to learn something. I mean, don't you think that that's true? I think that every person that comes across our path, every experience, every challenge, every joy, it's all there for us to learn something from. That doesn't mean that we necessarily enjoy the lesson all the time. But yeah, well, look, you know, I hate to say it, but I've encountered vampires, and the lesson for me has been I don't ever want to make anybody feel the way this person is making me feel. You know, I don't mean that to be mean. I'm just being honest. Like I've met vampires, and and maybe I saw something of them in myself, and it helped me understand that part of my personality a little better, so that I could do me a little better. I mean, I meant, like be me better, the better version of myself. So, all right, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to turn this a little bit and sing you guys a little song. Let's see. See if the lighting still holds up. There's the piano. Let's see. Can I turn this a little? There we go. Better. And you can't see this, but this whole thing I have fashioned with a light here, and I actually have this. Here, I'll take it off and show it to you. I have this little stuffed penguin on the edge so I don't clunk myself in the head. So, this song is called Nearly, and I don't think it needs much more explanation. I think you'll get it. You nearly did me in, 'cause I believed you again. Your shiny promises melt like snow, and down my quivering chin. Oh, you nearly did me in. I was protected before you held the pain down with forgiveness. Lord, I never counted on giving up the ghost and leaving my soul defenseless. Oh, you nearly did me in, 'cause I believed you again. Your fragile promises turned to dust and scattered to the wind. Oh, you nearly did me in. You offered comfort and some hope, laid out plans for my redemption. Then you held me close and whispered in my ear and vowed to deliver salvation. Oh, you nearly did me in, 'cause I believed you again. Maybe you didn't mean to harm me. Maybe you believed it too, but I fully chose to emerge from this armor. What's fair and what is fair and true. You nearly did me in, 'cause I believed you. So that was Nearly. I'm going to turn this back. Oh, somebody said maybe a live penguin can ward off vampires. That I did not know. I knew that garlic is supposed to, isn't it garlic that's supposed to keep vampires away? I'm trying, like I always confuse the vampire with the, what's the other one? The werewolf? Like, oh, werewolves are silver bullets and vampires are garlic and wooden stake in the heart, right? I don't want anybody going out and getting steaks. Don't want anybody, oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Somebody said beautiful. I don't want you guys to hurt one another or your vampires. I just want you to find a peaceful, kind way to keep them away from you so they don't suck your energy anymore. So, we're coming to the final 5 minutes of our chat. What did I want to tell you guys? Oh, if you are not on my mailing list, right up there above my head, sign up for my mailing list. You will get a free song, and you'll get my newsletters once a month where I will tell you where I'm performing live, notions that I come to, things to share. Oh, and you can read the fabulous article that the review that they did of my CD. That was Nor'easter Magazine. Yay, thank you, Nor'easter Magazine. What else did I want to tell you? Oh, there is a tip jar down here. Down here on your screen, not down here in the basement. If you are enjoying what you are seeing, hearing, exchanging with me, please feel free to keep leaving tips. It helps because I'm saving up so that we can purchase an advertisement-free channel. That's my goal. I would really love to do that so I can share this time with you guys uninterrupted. My name is Marcy Geller. This is the Square Peg Chat. Any thoughts on next week's topic? Well, that's interesting. You know, next week we're going to be broadcasting from Florida, because that's where I am going to be. So, I don't know. I have a list of topics that I add to it. And it's funny, like I'll be running or walking and I get ideas and they come to me and I have a list of them. But I don't choose the week's topic until I get inspiration about it, because I don't ever want to just come here and blather on about something just because I came up with it. I want to talk about things that I'm experiencing and that are relevant so that you can connect with the emotion of it, and maybe it'll connect with something that you're dealing with. So I do let it happen organically. I have a bunch of topics. Maybe I'll toss some out there and see what you guys think. Maybe I won't. I think I kind of like coming to it organically because I think that makes for the best chat, because I'm emotional about that topic, you know, when I'm going to be talking about it. And usually it happens on Sunday because that's when I sort of start getting you guys ready for what we're going to be talking about. So I'm not going to give away what we're doing next week, but I hope you will join me. I will hopefully be in sunny Florida. Anybody out there has any control over the weather, I welcome the intervention. Please, may it be sunny. I am all about the sun. So yes, next week, sunny Florida will be coming to you, because I am really committed to trying to keep this a consistent web chat. So thank you all for joining me again this week. I hope that we uncovered something interesting, something useful, something that you might be able to implement in your life. And we still have a few minutes, so if you do want to share any of your thoughts about how to avoid, I know you asked questions. Like I said, I'm not the guru here. We're kind of each other's gurus. So does anybody have an idea that they want to give to everybody before we sign off? We've got 1 minute and 15 seconds. I don't know, you guys are quiet tonight. Well, not that quiet. We did have some good interaction, and it's always a pleasure sharing this half hour on a Monday with you. You guys make me actually look forward to Mondays, which I'm thankful for. And I hope you all have lovely weeks. Have a phenomenal Halloween. Be safe out there, and I think we're going to sign off. Good talking to you all. Let's see, what time is it? We have 30 seconds. For 30 seconds, I am going to tell you all that I love you. Have a really beautiful week. Marcy Geller, Square Peg Chat, mailing list, tips. Good talking to you all. Have a great week, and I hope I see you all next week too. Well, chat with you anyway. Bye.